Well, howdy folks. Today we're working on an espresso machine. Well, we're going to try to work on an espresso machine. This is a 2-group head Cecil Grindmaster 220 espresso machine. And there is a part I need to order right here. It's a diverter valve, which is not cheap. It's like 150 bucks. But what had happened, and let's go over here. I will show you. Okay, well, this is the heating element, which, yep, it looks horrible. But I'm making up a solution of citric acid and water. It's about a gallon of distilled water and 8 tablespoons of citric acid. And what I'll do is I'll pour it in here and let it get some of this out. So we'll flip this up. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see down in here. Well, we'll try. See all that lime buildup down in there, and that is why you have a water softener. Let me see if I can put this down here. Hooked up to this equipment, so you don't get all this lime buildup. Well, what happened is this thing. There is a silicone gasket that goes right here, and aside from the absurd price that they want for that, which I do have one on order, but it's not supposed to come in until like February, so I got some silicone gasket and I may try to make one. But the genius is here, and this is stainless, and this is probably brass or, I don't know, some other metal. It's fairly heavy. They didn't put any anti-seize on these screws, and they're stainless screws, and these what's the word I'm looking for here? Inserts. Well, they didn't put any anti-seize on it, and I ain't kidding you, all 4 of them broke in the process of taking them out. So I tried to get them out, had 0 luck. So I sent it to a guy, and he was able to clear out these, take the bolts out, broken bolts out, and clear these threads up. I had to re-tap the threads, but I got that to fit. So now, what we're going to do is, you can see how crusty this thing is. We're just going to set it down in here. And we're going to, we got our water heating up. I just need to get it to boiling. And we will, I know I don't have a gasket on here. I'll just make it tight. It's not under pressure, so if it leaks out a little bit, it leaks out a little bit. So anyway, that is the plan. I have done this before with parts, and here is the drip tube, so we'll show you what that looks like. Most all this stuff is copper, so I've got all these holes plugged. How well they stay plugged, we'll see, Ted. But this will be step 1. The rest of the machine is functional, other than that diverter piece, so I'll clean all this stuff up. And yeah, this is a total pain in the ass to get out of here, but we'll get all this cleaned up and get this thing back into operation. So what I'm gonna do is get my water heated up, get this put it down, and then I've got to pour the water in through this tiny little spout here, and that's gonna take me a bit. But I only need to get it about up about halfway. So as long as I can get to there, I'm not worried about these upper holes, because I don't think it's going to come out of there. And if it does, I can put some tape over there just to hold it temporarily. But anyway, I'm going to let my water heat up, and I'll be back here shortly. And we'll see. Once I pour this in, I'll let it sit for, I don't know, probably about 20 minutes. I'll let it dissolve some of this stuff off, and then we'll take some parts out and see what it's looking like. So stay tuned. Be right back. Well, here's a little demonstration, guys, of what the citric acid does, and this water is not even to boiling yet. You can see it eating off all of the lime buildup and corrosion on here, and when this thing is done, this copper pipe should be pretty bright, shiny copper. So hopefully the inside of the tank will work out just as good, and the elements, it should get all of that lime off of the element ends. So we'll see. Alright guys, I'm back. We've had this thing soaking for quite a while, and I think you'll be able to see down in here now. It is definitely definitely an improvement over to what it was. I mean, I'm not going to be able to get all that stuff out of there. Well, I guess I could if I soaked it over time, several days. But the bulk of it is done, and it looks pretty good. Now the element, this thing was actually pretty chunky. Here's that one piece from the beginning. It turned out pretty good. This thing's actually come along pretty good. I could scrape a little bit of that stuff, but I may chip a little bit of it, but I'm just still letting it soak. So that's where that's going to go. I cleaned up a couple of these lines, ran those through. So that turned out pretty good. The rest of these lines I've done checks. They're all good. There's no calcium buildup in them, lime buildup. So we're pretty good. So kind of scrubbed a little bit on the inside here. This, of course, that boiler sits right in here. So the only thing I did find is that I appear to be missing a tiny screw. Well, I'm sure I've got screws like that laying around here somewhere. So, but anyway, up next I'm going to place this thing back into the machine over here and get it bolted in. These two bolts here are what hold it at the base, which are really hard to get to. They sit on this rail right there and right there, and getting up under them is a little bit of a challenge, but I get it done. So be back here in a minute with an update. All right, well, we got the boiler in. Everything is connected back up. Cleaned up, tightened up. It's pretty much good to go. Had all these in here and ended up having to take them all out to get this very bottom one in. Could not get a wrench on it unless I lifted it up. So off came everything and back on it went. So that's done. Thermostat hooked back up. So all I'm gonna wait for now is that gasket material that I showed the other day is a little bit too thick. So I've got some other stuff coming, and this thing turned out pretty good. Decided not to scrape at it too much because I didn't want to damage the elements. So, because this part is not cheap either. Nothing for this thing is cheap. But the diverter valve is ordered, so it's all good to go. That's what this piece goes into. It's a T. It goes here, and then it goes here, and then the T side comes out, and it goes into here. And that part, like I said, is 150 bucks. And our other 3-group machine that we had when we had our shops I went through 3 of those things. So it's a very poor design, and it's just a pain in the ass, but it's on the way. So once that's in, then I will put on a plug in, and run the line into the garage here, and we'll fire it up, make sure we ain't got no leaks, make sure everything is working as it should. This will go back into place. It goes right here, but I'm kind of holding off until I get that gasket material, which should be here hopefully tomorrow, next day, and get that cut out and get that installed in there. Find my missing nut, get that hooked up, and then we'll be ready to fire this puppy back up. So that's where we are at the moment, so stay tuned, be back here in a little bit. Alright folks, we're going to plug this cable in and see if I am detecting voltage before we power this thing on. Good and snapped in there. Let's see if we can probe these cables. I don't know if they're going to reach down in that side there. Okay, I got both down one. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to shove this down that hole. Let's see if that works. Yeah, I think I'm making a good contact. Let's see if that'll get down there. Problem is these cables are too close to each other. Unless I'm not making good contact up here. I don't know what's up with this plug. Well, let's see here. $246 volts. So we should be good. But I would really like it better if I could make sure that both of these connectors are hitting. Let's try. I'm not making a good contact down there. And that's 240, baby. You definitely don't want to be sticking your finger down in that thing. Yeah, I guess I could undo my wire taps. Can't really, get this pin down in here. Sorry for the delay, guys. But I want to make sure I'm reading something. But the problem is I can't get them both in there at the same time. That's 102. Guess we're going to find out. All right, let's. We got a water line hooked up. Water is turned on. And we do. Looked like something was leaking, but I don't know from where. Yeah. All right. Well, I'll be right back. I'm gonna disconnect these wire nuts so I can check each line and make sure I'm getting 220. So be right back. Okay guys, we got water in it. You can see the float level up there is good. Fan's running. I don't know if I can record this. I'll try. We got 237 watts going to the heating element. So far so good. I'm not seeing any leaks so far. Hear the fan running. If we turn the groove heads on, we're getting water. So here in a little bit, I'm gonna start getting some water coming out of here as this thing heats up. Alright, so I'm gonna come back here in probably about 15-20 minutes. Our gauges over here will hopefully be displaying some information, which they're not at the moment, so but the group heads are dispensing water. So alright, so I'll be back here in a moment. Alright guys, we're still heating up. I don't know if you can see that steam coming out of there. Eventually when this thing is up to temperature, that top will pop up. So this side is reading 81 degrees. Of course I know it's hotter than that. Oh yeah, that thing's hot. So we got steam coming out, and you can see the top has popped up now. One thing I don't like about these machines is there is no drip tray underneath these things. You would think, of course, you know, they're not really high dollar machines, but if this thing springs a leak underneath, it has nowhere to go but all over the counter. So far so good with that. I did bring out a cup, kind of get a temperature reading here. See if it's even warm. Nah, it's still lukewarm. It is heating up though. And it's halfway decent here today, so I got the door open while I got the hose ran in here. Let's see what this thing's doing. It's rising. We're at not quite 100 degrees yet. We need to get to about 200 degrees. But as you can see, we're getting some steam there, so we know it's heating up. And obviously I got to take the filter baskets out. Those are a real pain to get out. But we can also turn on our hot water line. And we'll use that for our testing. But as you can see, we're getting some steam now. Oh yeah, that water's getting up to temp. That's about 170, 180, 190. Yeah, sorry guys, I'm fogging you up. Yeah, we're at about 190. So I'll let it go for a little bit more. Got a bucket down there to catch. Then I'll use my coffee grinder in the room next door to grind us up some fine espresso. I'll end up running all this water through here since I had all this stuff cleaned up. but making sure I'm not getting any leakage. So far so good. That thing should eventually stop. Yeah, that gets really hot, guys. So let's take something else here. Okay. All right, my main concern is once we let it up and running for a while is this gasket that I made, and so far so good. I know I didn't show it, which I meant to, I totally forgot. This is just silicone gasket. It's 12 by 12 sheet, 1/16 inch thick, and it is high temperature. So I cut a piece out 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. Then I measured inside the hole where the element goes in, and it was the same diameter all the way around. So I just made me some marks on it. That cup worked out perfect. And so far so good. That water you see under there was when I was running the group heads because they backwash. And we're still building. All right, so I'll be back here in a minute. Okay, our water is about 200 degrees. We're right at 200, which is good. I'm noticing the gauges aren't working. Neither pressure, one of them's pressure, one of them's water. Neither one's working. So I'm gonna have to disconnect these lines right here and follow them over and make sure something's not plugged. This one should be fine, unless it's got a buildup in it, which I can disconnect. I'm gonna have to unhook this thing and let it cool down. This other one right there where it kind of splits, that goes to the steam one, so, or the hot water. Nope, take that back. That goes over to the thermostat. So I need to double check this line here, follow it all the way over to this T right here, disconnect that, and make sure it's not got a plug in it. And then that one straight ahead is leaking steam. So that needs to be looked at. And if the gauge, I'll disconnect the gauge. More than likely, it's got a, as you can see by the buildup on these things here, one of them should be pressure. This one should be the pressure, and this one should be the water. So, but it's not uncommon for those gauges to go bad, and I think I may have another one. I don't know if it'll fit though. No, because it's round. That one's rectangular, and those gauges are not cheap either. So hopefully I can clean it out. But so far so good. I got to round up my tamper so I can grind up some espresso and run some shots. So that's what I'm going to do. See if I can find it, and then I'll be back. All right, guys. Well, after, I still don't have my tamper. Can't find one. I think I took it down to Florida. Anyway, these are the group heads, and that sucker is extremely hot. I noticed my left group head was running shots okay, but the right one was not. So those are the group heads. I'm gonna clean those orifices out. Let me see if I can get my light. Those holes up in there, I'll get these cleaned out. And see, that one's pretty near blocked. Trying not to blind you guys. But if we take this. There's a hole up in here. So we'll get those cleaned out, and then I'm gonna have to get a breaker and pop those off so I can pour some citric acid, or like some CLR or something like that down. But I noticed this this tube over here, oh, that's mighty hot still. That's the left group head. This one over here was just lukewarm. So these things are pretty plugged up. How the left one was even dispensing espresso is beyond me, but you can see I got these sitting down in some vinegar. You can see all those tiny holes. Well, that's pretty much plugged up. So I'm gonna soak this one here. I'm just letting it cool down. I don't want to shock it. And these are solid brass. They're pretty heavy duty. But anyway, that's what I'm doing. I did get the leak fixed. I just took that one back off and put some thread tape on it. I still have nothing on my gauge. So, and I can't remember when this thing was in operation if the gauge even worked to begin with. I really don't remember. I do have another one here. This one's might be kind of new. I don't know, but it ain't gonna fit in there anyway because it's round and the other one's square. So that's where we are at the moment. I'm just soaking these pieces. Then I'm gonna get it back on, and it's heating up just fine. It's hitting at 200 degrees, but like I said, the shots were running kind of cool on the right side, so off these parts go. And if you look down in there, you can kind of see the head. There's 3 of those Allen screws, one in the front and one on each side. I mean, these top pieces should come off. I know they did on my old Italian espresso machine, but I will try to knock them loose. And worst case, I mean, I'll just take the whole group head off. There's just two connections behind. I know those pipes are clean because I took those down and soaked them, and I know they're good. But anyway, just wanted to give an update on where we stand. So be back here in a little bit. Hey guys, all right, here's an update on the espresso machine. I didn't record a lot of that. Well, in the beginning I did, but I did do some other things. I ended up taking these group heads off right here, and the one on the right here was pert near completely plugged up, and actually when I put it back on there, it wasn't even working at all. So I cleared all those holes out, and there is the line right down the top in there. You can kind of see there's a hole there. You can take that out, and there's a little filter in there. Clean that thing out. So I cleaned both these out really good. I'm waiting on a new screen. As you can see here, you can't really see light through the whole thing. It's pretty plugged up. I've soaked these in Cavisa many times. Took a needle and was trying to clean them out, but I did find a suitable replacement, and they were like $6 a piece. So pressure gauge was non-functional, and as you can see, it is working fine right now. We have steam, good steam. We have good hot water. And then here's the other steam wand. So everything's working as it should. No more leaks. Everything has been resolved, and so now I just need to I have run some shots through it. They run through just fine, and the only thing I did notice is the left group head is running a little bit hotter than the right group head, so I'm still looking into that, but it's not that big of a deal. Float works, power switch works, you can see the gauge works. I will check the programming on all the buttons, but they are working. So, and then the continuous run button is working just fine. So we're making some good progress here, but probably today I'll go ahead and disconnect the water because I keep having to thaw the line out there because I've just got it running from a hose, and start putting this thing back together, get it all cleaned up, get it covered up, and go ahead and list it. So thanks for watching. If I have any other updates on this, then I'll definitely do a part 2 to this video. But thanks for watching. Hope you got something out of it. Have a good one. Well, I'm adding on to this because I realized when I was looking at the video that I didn't show it what it looks like once it's all put back together. So here we are. Everything's all cleaned. We're ready to go. So there you have it. Got the new screen in up in here. All the portafilters have been cleaned and soaked and cleaned, and they're ready to go. We got the tamper, and it's just ready for a new home. So there you go, guys. Have a good one.